dirty chai.
Ngoli.
Shiba, please be serious.
It's dirty.
Anyways, Eswatini, it's Plant Co once again. We're having a very good time today. They offered us what's called a dirty chai. It's my first time trying out Injali. Is it dirty enough?
Look, I don't even know what's night dirty show in.
So you want us to get clean chai?
I don't even know what's night clean in. All I'm tasting is that it's a little different. It's got a bit of a kick.
Yeah.
They always order.
Is it a Van Damme cake or?
They always order chai latte, chai whatnot. And then the next thing I heard, Nabatsin Vipelile, it's chai. Manja, I don't know.
Well, today is not chai, but it is dirty chai, and I hope I shy.
Bars.
Eswatini once again. It's Plant Co and Jingobanbona. It's the old Mfuleni. So if you want to try them out, please do come through with your family members. You can come with your loved one. You can come with your kids. You can come with someone. Okay. You can decide but they've got land rehabilitation. They've got a nice nursery. So if you're into flowers, this is definitely your sport. If you love green, trust me, this place breeds nothing but green. So you can come through and enjoy yourself. Shout out to Dalati, the Genesis. I think I saw that on Facebook. I think it's a very, very good Genesis. And once again, it's your boy. It's also 002 and Dosh, all the way from the 2505 Manzini Bremerstone, the city that never sleeps. A whole lot of people call that city hell, but that is where we dwell. And in studio today, I've got the ancestor of podcasts. He was just boasting of how he was one of the first people, if not the first people, to actually dive into the podcast space. He's a coach. He's a life coach even. Is probably the tallest guy in Eswatini. I have to cross-check with that. He's my brother. He's my friend. He's probably the only guy that makes Ingudu look like a caught when it's in his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the one and only Mr. Shiba.
Mr. Dosh, thank you very much for having me. Because you said it's a studio.
It is a studio.
Yet you introduced it as the Plant Co. The one thing I like about the Plant Co is their ability to make a greenhouse less so sturdy. And I think if people bafuna kufunza what's bakanjani greenhouse, the covering and the netting, that's outside of course, timbali, nema plants, nema whatsoever.
And I think of course the place brings a whole lot of memories.
Correct.
But you see whatever it is that's being done right now, it's a memory on its own, like to be cherished, because it's all green, and I feel alive when everything is green. Like green is my color now. Like it makes me green with envy.
Then it can't be a good thing.
No. So it leaves me green with envy.
Then come and learn that. I think the one thing that let's end with this is you can learn. It's a nursery, so I'm pretty sure Mafunza a lot of things about how they do, how Gutlanyela this kind of plant, why that plant, and so on. Now it's about green. The only thing that green. Oh, never mind.
So we're gonna if you look around, Bongani Shiba is the nursery. Also have the restaurant whereby they're cooking nice food. This is where we got our dirty chai. I hope I is shy. We're gonna have an absolutely amazing conversation today. It's gonna be as tall as Shiba, and it's gonna be as fine looking as him once again. And please tell us what's in Bosami, Baba Shiba, or Kamga, the ancestor of podcasts, so that someone longer Martin goes, Shiba, we are going to because we haven't seen you in a minute in the kingdom. And we caught you before you bounced off.
Bounce?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I actually look at podcasts now and I think to myself, yes. When I started Gwendai podcast, it was 15-minute audio. called Walk Tall with Shiba way back in 2018, I think. 2017, 2018. And if we are Apple Podcasts, for those that have iPhones, if you have Apple Podcasts, you can actually find Walk Tall with Shiba. And then we are told on YouTube, we are told on a couple of other audio platforms. But I like what I'm seeing here, the growth of my podcast in Swaziland with a lot of different types of hosts like yourself. I do not know who's but yeah, it's all good. We're happy. You know what? I'm born and raised in Mbabane, mine. Have been living in Mbabane for a very, very long time before Nitalwe, most of you. Yeah. I don't know what you want to know about me. My life history is very long and complicated. The only thing which you haven't seen me because I've just had to go underground a little bit and rebrand, rethink, and see what would see get kahle vele. Ngisahamba yona indlela ebengifuna kuyihamba. I'm still going towards that goal, but also being a newly remarried man.
Lord of the Rings.
Well, actually, you know what? We're 5 years in. We're going into the sixth year. I needed to pay attention to this beautiful woman that I chose to start a life with.
I'm sorry, I have to say this.
And so,
beautiful she is.
ungabi sorry. Nakuliqiniso kuliqiniso. No, unemehlo ndosho. Unemehlo ndosho uyabona. Unemehlo ndosho uyambona now. And also just the ability to actually build our marriage. Which then also meant ukuthi kufuna focus on some of those things. But it doesn't say it's angiko. I'm still a very committed father. You know, you will find me at places where my kids are, you know, that kind of thing. So
I think that forms as a huge part of your DNA. I've always seen you support your children and kids. I've always been privileged enough to have the front row seat. I know how far your support goes, and it does not only, or it's not only limited in the family space only, but I've heard a whole lot of stories about you, your former students, and how you affected and impacted them, a class and in the court. Tell me about Baha'i. So many fond memories from your ex-students. They told me about a whole lot of things, your style of teaching and everything. But can we go through that? Because I want to believe most of your basketball, because that's why you're here today. That's why you're at the bench talk. So we can have a conversation with you. And yes, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment on the comment section. All 12 of you, thank you so much for subscribing. Keep it up. Call the other 12 to come through as well. We see you, all 12 of you. So our community will grow in. So Mr. Shiba, take me through your pre-basketball years, and then as we move on.
To take me through my pre-basketball years. I started playing basketball in 1991. That is Form 2. I've just walked into Form 2. I'm 13 years old. Emata Dolorosa, the school. So now it's pre-basketball years. Then it's a different story. But so angathi ukuthi ufuna ngiqale ngikhuluma ngesikolo eBahai noma ngifake history of basketball. Right. So look, we get into basketball in 1991. Partly because soccer yalabalaba cool, you know, the bigger guys, and as we don't even know, exactly, yes, and we don't even know whether you're talented enough. And then here comes this sport. He introduced on somebody, I think, Lo Ekaigubo Balidala a little more on the weekends or something, and basically a youth center. I remember the first time Sibitana, Lanzana, staba game in the Waterford, Sesiyahamba, and this guy says, "Hey, yo, this way." And I was thinking that's going to be our way at Bitan. I didn't realize what's yo for everyone. Yeah, meaning hey, yo, this way. Yeah, so Saba Mayo. Which was good for me because I was also kind of a nerd. I was a bookworm. I read a lot. And just saying to tell you the truth. Even though now being in terms of the coaching aspect. Yeah.
You could still see.
I could coach properly. That's one of the things. So that's don't get a little background of my coaching. Kukala coach coach soccer under 14, under 13, in Chappies Little League, under the tutelage of the great Musa Magic Zwane, who was such a developer of players. And he said, uketani, ukuthi ngikwenze goalkeeper or ube coach. And I chose coaching. And that's how it started. Anyway, so I played basketball there. We were basically every game besidlala, but I don't know. The love just there's a bug ka basketball. Yaguluma.
Yeah.
It's shy.
Dirty shy.
It's shy. So then ngapuma ke high school. Having played, there's very little basketball you can play when you're playing for a government school. And at that time, scholarless lali basketball, Bosco, Mhlambe, St. Christopher's, St. Mark's, St. Salesian, St. Waterford. There may be others, but angwakumbuli vele. Even when you go to there was a big tournament that they used to have at Salesian called Nando's Street Ball. And now you'd get the big guys Salesian playing against Waterford. All you're doing is you're going there, you're playing your three games, and then you stay and watch. And you're idolizing these guys. Nangqetsa esikolweni. This is 1994. 95 in Clearly. Sort of a gap year before I go to college. And lapha la ngihlala khona kune tennis court lenzala. And me and my guys, Majitales now, we put up a makeshift hoop. And I started coaching there. We called ourselves the Dogs. We called ourselves the Dogs. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he did. And I was playing, but also coaching. But it's so interesting. I remember one of them saying to me, "Oh, Shiba sesiyafana nawe. Like, you can't beat me 1-on-1. Ungafana ungihlule ngestrategy." So their talent grew so fast, they caught up with my knowledge. And the only reason they respected me now was the fact that I could actually share the basketball knowledge. Then I moved on to play for the Knicks. In Knicks, they scored a team St. Mark's. So it was predominantly St. Mark's former students. Look, so it's bench hard.
So welcome to the bench.
Exactly. Bench, you pay attention to the other things that could happen. At defense, because now you have to be useful somehow. But I was a member of that team for a bit. There was the hunger to play, but I felt very rejected and whatnot. But and then I remember at that point in time, basically, team Lebe, one of the most dominant basketball teams in Swaziland, called Sonics. Sonics gebeshaya Gwasani. There's this guy Pumlani Mew, Smelane, usemhlume and nomesmunye. He would come and say, "Excess, somdlalile 3 minutes wako."
No,
it was that bad. And then I think Gulesos Kasleso, Jazz, Babane Jazz, which had been a very strong team at some point, but because of careers, the players had moved out. Careers and progression in life, bahaba. So basically, be team yabo babi. This guy called Sif, who was still there, which is magic, came and said, "Excel, we don't lala. That like it's utawlala uzofuna kuyekela." lana you'll get full minutes.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started playing for the Jazz.
Yeah.
I played with the Jazz and started building a dynasty. For some reason, he made me captain.
Yeah.
And nga recruiter and built a very strong team. And we were not afraid to bring on Umvlonga's coach. We were not afraid to bring on a guy that wants to learn to play.
Yeah.
We were not afraid to bring on a guy longa sigo as great.
Yeah.
Yabo.
So you can properly.
We just developed. Yeah. Kuleso sikhathi I was a captain and we were playing and then at some point kwathi ngakuthi salenge step down kudlala. I actually volunteered that. I said he's strong enough for me to be able to say no coach.
Yeah.
Right, that was in 2012. So sesithe lesikhathi ngidlala nje basketball, traveling quite a bit and all of that. Kuleso sikhathi ke sengidevelop a score, sengisebenta eBahai as a teacher. Sengidevelop a basketball le serious corner. And I became general secretary with Basketball Federation, which also took me out and about. On top of that, a very, very good friend of mine.
Was it when you still had your dreadlocks?
Yes, when I had dreadlocks.
It
Yes.
looked like a low budget Adebayo though. Post production, I'll send you the picture. I need people.
I can send you a better picture of my dreadlocks.
Send it. It's fine.
There's a lot that is happening kulesikhathi sami with the Jazz, which is I started in 2001. Mind you, 96 is when I started playing with the Knicks. But also that's my college years, so I'm not fully there. And then 2001, I started playing for the Jazz. Kuleso sikhathi, I'm also building the Bahai School, Bahai School teams, sports, all sports. Khona lapho, I'm also meeting Eswatini English and physical education. Yeah. Then I'm reconnecting with my very good friend Jamu Mahlalela. He's just finished college in Canada, and he's home, and he talks about how he runs camps in Canada, and I'm like, this is one thing that I've wanted to do Eswatini. I just haven't known how. He's like, let's do it. So we ran concrete hoops.
I like the way you're just dropping in Jama Mahlalela, because a whole lot of people don't know that he's probably the only coach in Eswatini that has an NBA 2022 from the Golden State Warriors. He has that in the bag, and you're name dropping Coach Jama Mahlalela in the saying, bro, that's a big guy. Currently with the Toronto Raptors.
Okay, so longa kwati ke wena. Ukuthi Jama mnengimathi asengaka. Yeah, boy. Okay, on top of that, una two were my NBA rings, Jama. He was with the Toronto Raptors when they won it in 2019, and then he won it with Golden State Warriors. Yeah, but
only Swazi.
To me, he's the best sports export.
Yeah.
Good till Swatile ngivungathi lifikile kule level yakhe when it comes to sport. Yeah.
Concrete hoops.
Concrete hoops.
Yeah.
Concrete hoops is siyayenda with the help of Bongani Shiba or Lowe Knicks. Lo, who coached? He actually coached Jama as a Form 1 kid. Yeah. So we collaborate with a lot of other friends. Siyayenda, Siyayiranisha, and we had 45 kids.
Yeah.
For Jama, it's huge because 45 kids is a big number for him to get Nagase Toronto.
Yeah.
So the next year he brings on his friends from Toronto that he runs it with, and we have 100 and whatnot number of kids. And we had concrete hoops running for maybe 5 years at Waterford. And somewhere there, they get me to go and run it now with them in Toronto. That was when I got onto my first flight in Bilwe. This is in 2006, 2007, somewhere in 2006. Senamngandiza ngaye Canada, sengihanjiswa ibasketball game match, and we ran it there and all of that. ngabuya ke ngase ngiyakhona kuqala ukuthi now I do my own camps called Playable. Playable Camp was a sports movement that I wanted to have, that I started. Play a ball. What I did with that was it's three-dimensional. It's playable. It's play a ball, which means a star, which is high level ball, and then play a ball, which means play a ball rather than be out there. Three-dimensional. So then I said about General Secretary. General Secretary, there's a lot we can discuss with my tenure of 5 years with E thing. After that, ngathi kokololo. Ngaphuma gu coaching gu General Secretary ngaphuma nakuba ngu coach because now I had a job that was a little more demanding and my family had grown again. Then ngaba president weMbabane Jazz. The last thing lengiyendile administratively with basketball was to be the president of Mbabane Jazz up until COVID. And then I relocated, I changed my life altogether. I gotten married, newly married to Zen, and we moved. And now I play basketball as a master for people over 40. I actually am the oldest guy in my team. Yeah, I play for Midrand Heat. Yeah.
And we speak of the proper development and nurturing of talent from concrete hoops to you being transported to Canada and coming back with a whole lot of knowledge. Now, if we were to look into that space, how far have we gone in Eswatini as far as developing talent and then exporting the talent right now?
How far forward or how far backward?
I wanna put it nibe humble. Are we making progress? Is there any progress on the ground? Are you seeing the next, let's just say, case in point for a name that's just popped up? Are we seeing the new age Bongani Shiba on the horizon? Okay. Or it's just a mirage?
All right. I like the fact that you used Bongani Shiba because that was a prolific ball player. Athlete. Look, one of the things that we understand is the fact that basketball globally say shinjile. Right? They are shooting more and defending less. Well, according to Bongani, please disclaimer for everyone else. Bongani say shinjile, and so kunema elements la khona ngithi nangibuka ngithi this could be the next Jordy. Nkanze there's a lot that's lacking because work rate lower, understanding basketball is played on both ends. It's not just about scoring, it's also about defense as well. Are you boxing out? Are you rebounding? Are you passing? It's not only about breaking ankles and shooting a three. It's about taking the right shot. It's practice. But Michael Jordan once said, "Unga practiza." Angisakhumbula ama-hour lawo beke. So unga practiza as many hours as possible. But if you're using the wrong technique, you're only gonna get perfect at the wrong technique. So I see young'uns at the park. I see them by hands basketball, but they're still playing in their Crocs. They're playing with their hands under their butt. I understand the leveling issue. Is there a next generation YT, a next generation Jordy, a next generation Bandile Mahlang? Of course. But not ngale level layer. It's the same as saying Kobe Bryant was the greatest of all time. Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time. We figure when ukhuluma Steph Curry.
Of course.
Yeah, but le era ishintshile. Steph Curry is literally the greatest emehlweni akho kulesikhathi sakho, yeah, I understand. But is he doing what I, as a coach, then would be happy about? Yabona, exactly. Yeah. But when it comes to development, look, I'm going to tell you now, the one coach that I can 100% be clear ukuthi uyakwazi develop abadlali, actually by two, according to Bongani Shiba.
Okay. Yeah.
Bongosi D. Shabangu,
Okay.
individual player development,
Yeah.
probably second to none in Swaziland. Then there's Andile Twala.
Oh, yeah. He's with Sfunzanga right now. Yeah.
That's another person lengingathi ngiyamethemba in terms of developing a player. Mina as a coach, ngingamdevelop umdlali, but I don't think ngiya-equala these guys. Ngifike bese ngiba better at developing a team. They understand? Yeah.
Do you know that?
So,
wait, before you.
Okay.
Do you know that how I saw that Andile is one of the probably the greatest at that time, was how he was still a player at Bosco Steels.
Yes.
And still coaching.
And coaching.
The team.
Yes.
Before the guys. Team.
Yes.
The ladies team were
exactly.
Behind.
Exactly. Andile Twala is the only coach kuma leagues like Abekona Eswatini that has a 100% for a full season. No, 100% winning season. La khona wa wina yonke season angakase wadliwa as a coach. But that was with the ladies league. Ladies league.
Yeah, I remember. I used to watch.
Bongani Shiba is the only coach kuma leagues la khona that went 100% unbeaten with the men's team. With the men's league. Yeah. But by a developer, there's a Donkey Lane Academy led by Zwaki Piri. He is sending kids
in Taiwan.
Taiwan,
right now.
exactly.
Yeah.
He is sending kids to Taiwan.
I think Wakasho.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand that he went through the Donkey Lane process, but the Bongosi D Shabangu was involved somewhere corner up.
Yeah.
So yes, Piri is sending them internationally because he has a relationship with a particular program or school or something in Taiwan that is helping them. So yes.
Yeah.
So is there a chance Goguti Stautola, an international player from Swaziland? Yes.
Okay.
But from my programs that's now Eswatini, ngizengakubona.
You can have that.
Ngizengabelieve.
Yeah, Singapore. But it's like back in pre-COVID, a little bit after COVID. I'm not too sure who's after COVID, but pre-COVID, we had games. Like we had big games in Maputo.
Yes.
I don't see any of that anymore.
Yes.
Is there anything that we're getting wrong in those fronts? Like there was at some point in time they had a huge sponsor which was MTN.
Yes.
And we would go for those either Friday night lives, Saturday night lives, Sunday night. Those Sunday games would be like when you know Jazz is going against Bosco Steels, it's going to be a house on fire.
Correct.
But we don't see any of that anymore. Like even on the back pages, El Pepa,
correct.
I never see anything basketballish.
Correct.
Yeah.
What's the question?
My question is, is there anything that's happening on the ground in those fans? Because I'm angry.
I do not know if there's anything happening with regards to are we trying to get back to playing leagues emavuso. What I do know is that azlali.
Okay. So it's just tournaments.
Aglalwa, yes, and it's tournaments, and these tournaments are private tournaments. Nancy private tournaments. He hosts Bongani Shiba with his playable program, or he hosts Mbabane Jazz, or he hosts whoever,
Isn't that going to break Lumfana Wasejan in his heart, or Lumfana Wakaloma Hasha, who probably in his head needs more than a tournament to shine?
angeke uze udevelope badlali labataw compete internationally tournaments la sporadic.
Yeah.
Kwawona lawo ma-tournaments are watered down. If we are still playing running time, 20 minutes, less as a stop is half slang 20 minutes, because then now tata labo ban labo we badlalisa la in South Africa eJozi nje bakanza 10 minutes stopping. By the time we play third quarter, they are dead tired. Or even because then running time also makes you play a running game. And the kuplana segule different. So no, I hope yamvana lo timisele nga basketball iyalimala. Look, it takes 10,000 hours to create an elite athlete. Lawo ma hours lawo ngeke awabone if angakwazi ukudlala ema leagues continuously. I train continuously. We were disturbed, in my opinion, by COVID. But as I say, COVID iphele a while back. Kufanele ngabe sesikhonile kubuya. I do not know ukuthi kwendekani in the federation leadership. Nansi federation ngikhuluma nge-basketball association. It's just technical language, lo federation. I do not know ukuthi basetha ini and bavinjwa yini. I am aware ukuthi sebake bayisetha bake bayisetha i-tip of date actually. And then yangasendeki. And the other thing is, I think one of my biggest problems is when we try to reinvent the wheel. So if you go and find and look at the archives of the tournaments the league that you're talking about, and how it got successful and what happened, and then you go and disregard all of that and try to create your own, kusho ukuthi utaba nama-teething problems. Kusho ukuthi uzatawuqalela phasi. Mina, I would rather tweak and fix exist.
No, I get you. And I fell in love with basketball. I think I said it a while ago, a couple of hours ago, that I fell in love with Eye in the Sky before I even fell in love with basketball, which was a column whereby you write about post-match reviews. And I really fell in love with how you articulated, how you put everything. There was sort of a narration, and I would visualize myself in the stands and watch almost every other game. Of course, via Facebook, where that's actually I picked up some of the narration, the skills, the art, and placed you as one of the people that would always have a way on how you can literally put e-wedding into 3D. And now I see you on the big screen. You are acting. I'm like, this guy. Like, this guy is acting.
Your dad and my dad were radio actors together. So love for acting came from that time. Because I used to read his scripts and then create the character. Kune story bekuthiwa Sivakashi, where Percy Smelane was Lipunu. As I'm a kid, and the name Percy to me sounds feminine, so I'm assuming is a woman. And I would read the script as a woman. Anyway, Eye in the Sky comes with the idea of hyping Emma games. So I would create Emma reviews. Week 1. The tip-off is coming, and I'm hoping to see this. I'm hoping to see that. I'm writing as an independent journalist or sports reviewer. But the idea was people when they read it, they now think or let's go see if they want. It helped a whole lot of people. You actually read that. You were not at basketball at the time. and it was attractive enough. I mean, it attracted you to the sport. I'm humbled because I was literally writing to the basketball people. So I would write the reviews. Game one, inkampani Scavengers nebanban, and I'll talk about so somewhere gule ukuthi ngiyabhala ukuthi kutabe kunazibani. Somewhere there was also tips or advice that I was giving to the coaches and players. So I would say something like kungaba kahle kubona T-boy azama kuphasa ibhola more abathemba abadlali bakhe. That's me telling him as a coach, longa akhona kuyomtshela ebhenjini lakhe. We understand. Talk about how Jazz looks good on paper, but I rotate enough badlali bayo. I'm hoping ukuthi loyo coach loyo ulalele Nkosi yami uTauva. You know, people started to pay attention. And I remember this other kid, I think there was Galala, Eugene.
Yeah, I know
Eugene, something called, I think it was Stoke City or something. And this kid was all over the place. Adlalangema Vans. And I was talking about, hey, I worry how this kid might get injured because he jumps so high and whatnot. And I started doing the whole thing. He would say, player of the week, Mumish of the week, rookie of the week. And I think he got it twice. This was all my decision. But I saw him Segati poster as rookie of the week, which meant it's own inspiration, let's see to do better. And then I saw the next 3 games later, more basketball, you know, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm helping the world with this. But you know how difficult it is to be doing that and yet opens or coach Jazz or a conflict of interest. I remember one Superstars Jazz game that was so hot and I had to step in and coach. Yeah, winning at 1 point each Jazz in the last minute.
94-93 score.
I think that's the one, yeah. And so when I wrote the review, I just said, world-class game, you should have been there. Because I couldn't put it in. Because now it meant I have to praise myself. Or praise, you know, and make him and kind of look like I'm glorifying myself. I tend to want to be very neutral at Invent,
You know, I like how you always find yourself being neutral, which is why I was bringing it to the screen. Go would say multi-talented. Now you find yourself behind the camera. How does that come into play?
Ukhuluma ngayiphi party on behind the camera?
Not the camera where you take selfies.
Yes.
There would so your act.
Okay, acting. So I think the first time I ever acted in anything was in a radio play. Because they needed a voice of a child. I was 12 maybe. And it was one of those Lagadala on Saturday. So it's just a 30-minute NIP Gutema episodes Lalanzelao. The next time I was on stage at the theater club, this is probably 2009, I think. An Australian volunteer that was working in Swaziland had written a play that traced Imbilo ya King Punu. And I guess I'm a Punu. So there was a character apparently who is in history that we do not know about, who actually helped avert a war because King Punu Safunaguya to war or something like that. I was playing that character as a lead. Imagine it's a 3-day, three shows, and every night it's full capacity theater club.
250 seater.
Every night. And then you get a standing ovation every night. Acting. Unfortunately, the one that I was looking forward to, Gakulu, was the one that Eswatini TV was going to commission as a soapy called the Mabulao. I was going to come in as a lawyer, which I wanted to be. Unfortunately, I'm hoping with Nabaibuyisa batavele basebenze that cast. Banga recast. Council,
When you dive into radio once again, I remember I worked with you at the Pinnacle. And you had that show. How was that? How did that even come about?
So you remember I Walk Tall with Shiba, my podcast. Podcast yami ngiqhamukisa ngokuthi I'm in a situation lenga what we navigator. And I need stories that will inspire. I'm thinking to myself, how did so and so walk out of night difficulty now? I wish I knew what he knew. And then I thought, wait, let me get normal people to tell their stories. I mean, and I would be interested. Okay, Dalati, how did you get here? How did you get to run Mfuleni? What was your vision? Because it might inspire another young person. Then obviously ngase ngiyivela phela share a podcast and because when I did I don't know, it's just I think it wasn't monetizing. Then because I had taken it to YouTube at that point in time, talking mental health, suicide, depression, and all of that. Then after COVID, ngiyakhumbula ukuthi kuna Ndosh who is psychology based, right? And funny. During COVID and around those times, ngibukela Skumba and Bob. So Bob Mapena is one of the guys that I wish, on a kaya. And Bob Mapena is one of the guys that I wish ngingaba njengaye. He did whatever he wanted to do emhlabeni. Bob Mapena ufeseka kwende konke la kufuna. He was he recording artists, Formula 1 racing,
Bob did it.
Exactly. So then I'm like, wait, if I put myself in the position of Bob and get Ndosh in the position of Skumba, and then we can get whoever else, and we got the talented Mianda Mahlang to be, and at that point in time, but always when the purpose-nyana phela kungabi just radio show. That's why then we would tackle real talk issues, and so then your psychological part could come in at any given time, and my life coaching part could come in at any time.
And remember, we even had people from as far as Australia listening.
Yes, I remember that.
And that was always
exactly.
That was always my dog. Now that happens, then now your the whole Sibebe comes through as well. You get an endorsement. How does that come about? Because we saw you being the guy. Even had the nice tagline Shiba Nesibebe. Sibebe Sashiba.
Who created that Shiba Nesibebe thing? I think Banelil Kelespo was the one that came up with Shiba Nesibebe. It's possible. If Ngasiko Cisco, because I have a word monger in Segelu. In fact, he came up with something so nice. We sat on the singai 70 because I guess people didn't understand it. The show good is nice. Then you cannot relate when Cisco comes up with good is nice. You know what I mean? And I tried that hashtag good is nice. It was but how I get to Sibebe is it's so interesting how sometimes we are in the info. Uyifake engqondweni and maybe it's an affirmation or it's you put it out to the world and then it comes back to you because the universe gives it back to you from your word to God's ears. I mean from your mouth to God's ears. Ni posta a picture of myself at the beach in Mozambique with a Sibebe dumpy. And one guy Zamatabete at Sports Council says Sibebe should pay you for that, bro. Right? From that moment.
Phenomenal guy, that one.
Yes, Zamatabe.
Zama gave me, I think it was the first paying gig in the country.
Really?
Yeah. Shout out to Zama.
Wow.
He did.
Yeah.
It was the first paying gig. I remember I was with him, Sandy, Manzini. I think it's the Park Lila Peposi. He did. I didn't know what to do, but he said I should be an MC. I was just confused. But he's never called since then.
Oh, shame.
I've grown now. I know what I should do now.
You had your chance, bro.
No. There's always a chance for second chance.
No, I'm not going to lie. Are people that empower Eswatini. You know, when we came in, Guba Ngibang Secretary General of SNBA, he was working in the finance department at Sports Council. We were young, we were sort of wet behind the ears. He ran training for us to how to run and then enabled us. Like when we needed money to start sending national teams to places, he made it happen for us because I think he was looking out for his success yet, you know. Anyway, so he says, Sibebe should pay you. And from that moment, every time I a chance to shoot an Sibebe, I would post it.
Okay.
He posted with the idea of Loksala advertise BI Agit. There was a point in time we were in Cape Town with the time she was gonna become my fiance, the girlfriend Zen.
Okay.
And we were club hopping. What I was doing is that every club Nasngena being looking for Sibebe and tag them. Knowing very well ngengistole but ngibatega. So now for some reason sengiyaba visibility. So when the competition came, they looking for Sibebe through the arts or whatever, I jumped on, and a whole lot of people, because it had to be a voting by likes and comments. A lot of people said, Ganzi, weren't you already
inside
the ambassador? So then I remember Cisco again came up with that hashtag make it official. And we started campaigning. I had Mbonisi Ngampalala, I think he's a graphic guy. Angakela my posters egu advertiser. The Shibang Esbebe thing had come in. I think Shibang Esbebe blew up, you know, and just like that, the agency that was running it, they were bearing a chance anyway. Because what I did is I also tapped into, I used to work for an American agency called Peace Corps, and all my volunteers that had gone past me, so they started taking. So now I had international support. You know, it's beautiful.
And I like how your whole life is so colorful, and as far as radio, TV, coaching, life coaching, basketball. I know today you even have a coaching session with Babade Jazz. Is there a possible revamp, like as we're rounding it down or up, is there a possible revamp in our basketball? Because I know of one guy that's playing from Eswatini and is in SA. I think it's Richard Lubasi, brother to Matthew, Superman Lubasi. Is there a possible revamp? Are we ever going to see those Friday night lights? Are we ever going to see those Saturday night lights?
It's not impossible. Inkinga yami ngeke ngikhone ukukhulumela labantu labaranishi basketball. Yabona? If I were to run basketball, if I had the opportunity to actually, it would be so quick kubuya kwe basketball. Because I've done it before, right? It would be so quick. And I'm also very particular about doing it well. And not go just so that we tick boxes. But it's not that difficult because we can't be reinventing the wheel. So tap into what has happened, what we have used, and go. Kwakha ilegacy yakho ngeklipita yalomunye is gonna be a problem. Rather, take lelega kwendile and build onto it. And then that legacy, the legacy yalo ayilimali ngekuthi sekwakheke yalo. And le yakho ayilimali because yalo na isa exister. You understand? Oliver Tambo uneyaka yakhe legacy. But bekang president we ANC. But nase kungena Holihlanhla akusho ukuthi asamboni. Exactly.
That's that mass. Your all-time five, starting five?
Of where?
First team basketball.
Eswatini. And you're talking about Nangit's national team, Noma. My all-time first five basketball, Eswatini.
I give you to put five.
Listen to me. My all-time first five Eswatini basketball. Eswandile Waitim Gati, Africa, Mapanga, Bongani Shiba, Mandla Shomwe, Bongani Shiba.
Bro, I watched Jody. I think it was not really Twilight. Almost, Jody gave me 2 or 3 years.
Yes. Exactly. So that's my all-time first five.
Okay. International, so Fakabonke. Yeah.
That's a hard one, bro. Steph Curry at 1. Kobe Bryant at 2. Michael Jordan at 3.
Okay.
Kevin Garnett at 4.
Okay.
Shaq at 5.
No, I'm not gonna say it. So there's no Magic.
No.
Okay.
No.
Who's this other guy from the Celtics? The white guy. Tall white guy.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
No.
No Larry Bird. Yes.
What Magic could do, Steph Curry does better.
No, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that was it. There was a perfect sit down for us. We discussed basketball. We had Alcatraz. Alcatraz. Basura upanisha abantu babeke kone.
Yathi sisi wrong le story sakho. I had a system in my English classes.
Yeah.
When I was teaching English language and literature,
Yeah.
where bekungasiko set ukuthi uhlala lapha eklasini,
Okay.
right? So ukuthi uhlala lapha had to do with how you performed in the last test.
Okay. I get it.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if you sit in front, we called it Alcatraz.
Okay.
Sitting in front meant you have emma responsibilities. The cleanliness of the classroom, board, clean, and all of that. Nguwe loyo. Then the person that sits at the far back is the one that is the highest. And I had a situation where I put a girl and a boy as queen and king of the class.
Yeah.
Right? And then the peasantry emkhatsini. So as usuka lambili, uyale emuva, the highest is at the back.
Okay.
You know how my classrooms ukhanza lesinye isikhathi titulo tiphumile diko. I would give a reward to the king of queen of class because they don't have to go look for chairs.
Okay.
You Alcatraz guys have to make sure they have chairs. So what that did was encourage people ukuthi angifuni ngikuphinze ngikhanze la embili, exactly. Ngicleana ngibutha amaphepha or whatever, ngicisha board. Then the one that is at the back wants to stay at the back. No one person sits next to the same person. So then you have to be friends with everyone. Uyabona angeke nje ukuthi thina sibangani bethu sibanga umsimvo la. That was how it worked.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this wonderful session. Shout out to the Plant Co. If you need your land to be rehabilitated, if you need a whole lot of nurturing to go on onto your plants, make sure we have seen that they've got food as well, so you can come in. If you go pass, enjoy the meals. It's been an awesome. Thank you so much, Bongani Shiba.
Bongani.
Sit down before you leave and catch your flight. Thank you so much. It's been an awesome episode. Babane, Lubombo, Shiselweni. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Don't forget to comment, please. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All 12 of you, we really appreciate you. We're a growing community, so it's going to be bigger than whatever it is that you see getting big. All from the way, 2545 Manzini Prima Stop. We're out.
Bye-bye.